so beautiful. Good morning, good evening, good all the things. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day or night. Wishing you all the good vibes. This is Tea Time True Crime with Katie. Hello, I'm Katie Brannon. This morning, though, I've actually made myself some coffee, coconut coffee with a little bit of non-fat whipped cream because everything's good with whipped cream. Before you go dirty, I'm talking about coffee and beverages. Okay, so I hope everyone had a wonderful Halloween. Everyone was safe. Everyone had a wonderful Dias los Muertos. So this case, when I researched it, you guys, I couldn't find much about this case at all. Like I couldn't even believe it. I actually stumbled upon this case while just watching regular TV on VH1 of all places. And this is how I found out about an amazing anti-gun activist named Shawntray Grant. Yes, if you have not heard of him, buckle up, you guys, my true crime kitty cats. It is kind of a wild and emotional ride. All right. Now, if you are fascinated by true crime or kind of obscure true crime, because I try to pick crime stories that are not well known, or if I pick famous ones, I try to do a different perspective. I go really hardcore on the researching. Now this one, there's only a few articles. There was no podcast. I'm talking about no YouTube podcast, and there was no Apple podcast. So I'm going to do the best I can to remember Shawntray Grant. If it's your first time here, hey, thank you so much for listening or watching. You are the best. I appreciate you so much. If it's your first time here, you definitely see the crystals, the light up crystals. They're amethyst, by the way. My little cute little pumpkin over there. And we have white candles. Even though we're talking about very sad matters, this is nothing but good energy and good vibes coming from the podcast to you. I wish you healing energy to the loved ones who have been affected by this case. And I'm going to have to tell you, I am very spiritual, and I'm also an extreme empath. I think I may be a Sigma empath. That's a new word I've learned recently, and I pretty much have like a lot of the characteristics. So, pardon me, I had a little hiccup. So, I actually had a dream of Shawntray. Yeah, like right now. I plan to get up at like 9 a.m. and stuff like that. Oh, I did. I plan to get up at 9 a.m. But I woke up around 4 a.m. and I'm like really just wanting to do this podcast. And Shawntray actually came to me in a dream. He wasn't vicious. He wasn't upset or violent with me in the dream, which was really nice. I really appreciate that, Shawntray. He just like gave me like a nod and like a smile. It's hard to explain. So Shawntray, hi, if you're listening, I'm gonna do the best I can to describe what an amazing man you were, and also how you forever changed a community, and I feel like forever changed future generations. Shawntray Grant was born July 29th, 1985, and he had big Leo energy, loving it, full of sunshine, full of just, I don't know, Leos are just awesome people, you know? He was very gregarious. He was somebody who would never let anyone go hungry. You know, he would share his own money with people who didn't even know and help people. So, yeah, he was pretty much epitome of love. He really was. And Shawntray Grant was also known as Puff. I know, Puff, adorable. Now, he has that nickname because when he went to, like, the store, I'm guessing grocery store, he would pick up a bag of Puffs and Coca-Cola. Those are, like, his favorite things. Yeah, same. Like, do you guys like those Puffs? Oh my God, those corn puffs I get at Gabe's? life-changing, life-changing, okay? So Puff was just this incredible person who started to become an activist because he was tired of seeing the inner city's violence with guns. Yes, Savannah, Georgia has a really big problem with gun violence. I was not well known. Well known about that. So when I was looking up this case, the main thing he wanted was to have, not to get rid of guns. Even though his rallies were, back and forth about it. But I found out in my research he had a gun himself. So my guess, Shawntray, is that he was the kind of guy who basically, wow, I just got like weird in here. Okay, all right. So I'm going to get to that, all right? Now, I believe that he really cared about people. Like, when there was a crime scene happening in his city, before the news media would be there, Shawntray would be there. Puff would be there to go on his social media, talk about what's going on. He believed enough wasn't being done in his community. Now, I found out that Georgia is kind of like a free carry state. I could be wrong, but definitely a free carry city because, they were saying that a lot of people could have guns. It was open carry. Now, my whole thing, before my wonderful military friends come at me, now, my thing, I don't ever want to go political on my podcast. I don't. I want you guys to always wonder which side or no side I pick, okay? Basically, how I feel is I do believe we have the right to protect ourselves. Yes, I really do. But I do not believe we need AK-47s. Like, why? Why do you need that? I do believe there needs to be stricter policies on guns. I don't think they all need to be taken away because someone's going to get their guns. No matter what, you can get them in the black market. Apparently, in my research, only like, oh my God, it was like 40% of guns are registered in the United States. That's an alarming number. Even if it's 40% or 60%, sorry, I cannot remember right now, but it's still like that kind of statistic that, people do not register guns to the United States. So my thing is that you will get a gun anywhere. You will get a gun off the black market. You could get a gun, a dark web. It doesn't matter. But the thing which Shawntray wanted to change was he wanted more justice for the families that were lost souls because of gun violence. Shawntray was actually the baby of 10 children. Okay, you go, mama. And he was a local legend in Savannah, Georgia. Like, if you just like watch the little clips and then the documentary I watched on VH1, at his funeral, you guys, hundreds of people went. I thought like a Hollywood actor / actress passed away. Yeah, that's how much he was loved in his community. Like, he gave people a voice. He did. He really did. And I feel like he did all this too for free, by the way. He didn't work for like a local organization or anything like that. In my research, I didn't see anything like that. His brother, Shawntray, said that he did it all for free. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? I think that's amazing. The mayor of Savannah, let me know down in the comments below in 2003 if he's still the mayor. I'm not sure. But back in like 2018, Van Johnson was the mayor of Savannah, and he even knew about Puff. So you have to be such an influential person, okay, for the government to know you, which is pretty amazing. So now I have to mention the bullhorn rallying. Okay, so he would carry a bullhorn and he would just yell out and, just talk. He was just a very easy person to talk to, and people would listen to him when he would shout on that bullhorn. And it wasn't just him, it was like a little community. They would wear bullhorn shirts. And again, they were just trying to change the gun violence. because you guys, people are dropping left and right, and they were dropping left and right. It's awful. And we're not talking about just like any people. I mean, we're also talking about children. We're talking about just innocent people like minding their own business, but they're getting shot down for no reason. Or something real stupid like robbery, which I will go back to that foreshadowing. So, but yes, he would give the loved ones media exposure. You know, he would go to the people and just be like, what happened? What happened to your son? When did this happen? And he had, you know, Facebook and social media to, you know, show that things gotta change. We have to like have more stricter gun policies or something like that, you know, because it's just like haywire in the inner cities. One of his quotes that really, really stuck with me, Shawntray said, "If we don't stand, we will fall for anything." Dang. Whoa. You know? So, like I said, he's a very anti-gun activist. For me, honestly, it was like Martin Luther King vibes. It was like the way he would just grab that bullhorn and talk about unity and talk about like it doesn't matter if you're from north, east, south, west. It doesn't matter. You're still brothers and sisters that have been affected by this terrible crime. I mean, it totally gave me positive leader vibes, you know? So tragically, out of nowhere, June 15th, 2018, there was a shooting. Yeah, it's not really out of nowhere. Shooting is very, very big in Savannah, Georgia. So it was really sad because on June 15th, he was gunned down. Yeah. I know, for being an anti-gun activist, he lost his life by being gunned down. I'm sorry. Sorry, you guys. I know, you're gonna comment like you cry too much, but you can't tell me how to feel. Because this case touched me so deeply. Excuse me. Now, before he was gunned down, sadly, this 12-year-old kid named John Cooksey was shot while leaving a funeral. I know. And Puff was rallying for justice for John Cooksey. Now, when Puff was shot in June 15, 2018, people thought the rally may have turned into a riot. Now, I know there are some misunderstandings about that. Now, his rallying was a rally. It wasn't a riot. Okay, you know what I'm saying? He literally, you know, it got kind of intense because, of course, when you have a group of people and you believe in the same thing and you want your voices heard, tensions are high. You know what I'm saying? Tensions are very, very high, especially if they feel like, you know, no one's listening to them. So you have this cute kid, John Cooksey, getting shot. Like, yeah, it was really, I'm sorry guys, I didn't see if he survived or not. I'm going to say that he did. I'm not sure. I couldn't find out about that. But the shooting of this kid, investigators, you know, were thinking, and the people, you know, who loved Puff thought, well, I think because Puff is such a outspoken person that he, you know, that was the reason for him to be shot down. But you see, Puff, even though he was outspoken and kind and had a bullhorn and had a lot to say, he never really pointed out specific names. You know what I'm saying? So investigators and police, excuse me, investigators and police really believed that was not the case. while he was, gunned down. So of course the community is just like, there's hundreds of people in the funeral. They really didn't want, like a huge riot on the hands. Like, police were on this case. They were. Even though the family did say they didn't think that the police were doing, that they weren't working hard enough. Which, it did take like 10 months to make an arrest. But the family, Shawntray, Shawntray Brown was his really good childhood friend. They just wanted it, solved faster. Because seriously, like, his death shook a community. I mean, I feel like shook a state. Shook a generation. It was just awful. Like, when I was just watching this documentary, my heart, oh my God, I bawled my eyes out. I literally bawled. I mean, I'm watching this adorable dude who's like a big teddy bear trying to help people, and then I find out he's no longer with us. I'm like, wait, what? What happened? I have to know. Conspiracy theories ran rampant after the shooting of Puff, okay? One was that he had like a girlfriend, okay, which, sometimes we do, and she was pregnant. Now, again, these are rumors. I do not want to upset anybody, okay? But it's a conspiracy theory. But one of the conspiracy theories was that his ex-girlfriend was pregnant, which is beautiful news. But 2 months before she gave birth, she booked it. She left town. And then 2 months later, Puff is dead. So, yeah, weird. And then John Cooksies, the little kid who was shot, and he was rallying. That was the last big rally for the anti-gun violence. So they're like, he must have made the guy who shot John angry. But again, investigators were not buying it at all. So the families, the community were on police like white on rice. Like, you need to solve this case. You need to find out what happened to Puff. And I'm telling you, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, they did. It took 10 months because of genuine police work and our amazing technology. Yes, I know, it's incredible. People who want to commit a crime and like text or something like that, and you're near a cell phone, not a cell phone pole, cell phone tower, okay? Text messages will get picked up. And that is how we solve the case. Not we, but, Savannah police solved the case. Now, I'm going to talk about what exactly happened to Puff. I'm going to do my best. I did like a little bit of a background, and I hopefully you guys already think he's just a wonderful good vibes guy too. But what I'm going to be talking about is not good vibes, because I'm going to bring you to the scene and what led to this horrific death of Shawntray Grant, aka Puff. Another theory that actually came out, and it happened to be true, was robbery. I know, it was a robbery. It's awful. So I'm going to bring you back to, so Puff liked to gamble. He liked blackjack, which ironically that's my favorite game, blackjack, 50-50, So Puff went on this really cool yacht, which I don't even know there was a such thing. You go, Savannah, Georgia. There was like a casino yacht on the water, okay? And it seemed like VIP. It really did. It didn't seem like anybody could go on. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like you really had to be invited or pay good money. So, but Puff loved to gamble. That's what he liked to do, He didn't go like buck wild or ruin his life or anything, but he just liked to have fun with some friends, go out and hang out on a yacht and play the casino blackjack. So while that was happening, I also saw that he was like VIP. Like, they knew him by his name. If he was late going to the yacht or something, because they would do certain casino nights on certain days. I'm not sure if it was blackjack on certain days, but they would like hold the ship until Puff got there. So of course he had, a big influence you know, on the yacht, which I thought was pretty cool. So he got to his apartment after the casino around 2 a.m. And around that time, there was just these, I mean, of course they said it was like fireworks. It was like pop, 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 pop. I'm not trying to bring it back, sorry. But it was 8 shots. I know, 8 shots. They gunned the poor guy down. And his really good friend, Shawntray Brown, oh my God, she heard his last moments. Oh, I can't imagine, girl. I just can't. Calm down, sorry. So she found him. He was like slumped over his truck, and he was gunned down, and he was deceased. Now, when he was at the casino, you guys, he won big. Yeah, he did. He had a really good winning streak. He won $12,000 at the casino right before he was gunned down. He brought, I believe, a group of people with him. I believe there was 4 people. Now, Shawntray Brown, Shawntray, sorry. So, Shawntray has a lot of, like, okay. So, it went like this. So, Shawntay's sister's friend, I'm sure I'm getting that right. Shawntray Brown's best friend's sister feels tremendous guilt. Yes, okay. So, I'm not going to say this person killed him, but definitely involved. So what happened was that he had a group of people who he thought he could trust, and they went to the casino, and he won all this money, and things are good, things are grand. Like, yes, let's do this. You know, it's great. $12,000 is a lot of money. Like, get me that. Sorry, but it's not worth anyone's life. It's not. And I believe that if the gunman went to Shawntray and said, like, give me your money or something like that, or just robbed him, Shawntray would have gave him the money. Even though I know he's like, you know, big Leo energy, but again, nothing is worth your life, and I know that he would agree with that. When the police went to go search the home, he saw that, you know, Puff actually had a gun. He had a 9mm gun, and it was like in a case, but the gun was missing in the case. So people were shook about him being anti-gun, and they couldn't believe it, that he even owned a gun himself. But as I said before, I believe he believed in, you know, I mean, you're out with the piranhas, it seems like, on the streets of Savannah, you know. He didn't have an AK-47, he just had like a little 9mm, which a gun is a gun. I get that. So people were pretty upset about that. But then they realized, well, where's the gun? Where did it go? So 6 weeks after the horrible, horrible demise of, horrible death of Puff, Robert Lee Jr. was gunned down. I know. Robert Lee Jr. was kind of gunned down the same way Puff was. He was in his vehicle, close to a vehicle, and the age, you know, seemed to be around the same age, the same ethnicity. So police were like, this has got to be connected. This has got to be. So the police searched for the gun. So we're going to go back to the casino. So when we go back to the casino, like I said, Puff had, like, I think 4 or 5 people with him. And they were people who he trusted. So much to the point where when they left the casino, he actually dropped them off home. Wow. That is so kind. So by the time he entered, you know, when he entered back to his apartment, he was gunned down. Now, March 13th, 2019, police dropped a bombshell. I know I talk in riddles, but stay with me. Hopefully you're still here with me. They made an arrest 10 months later after Puff was shot. The 2 suspects were arrested. and they were charged with murder and robbery. Nalante Grant, which I know, no relation, just weirdly the same last name, no relation to the lost soul that's Puff, and Osha Dunham. Now, Shawntray Brown, like I said, really close friends with Puff. I mean, like, mad close. So, she knew Nalante. And Nalante was there with Puff at the casino and saw Puff's winning the $12,000. So Nalante sees this huge win, and she texts Osha, and it's basically, we don't know verbatim, but it's something like, yo, we need to get this money. Like, he just made we need to get this money. You know what I'm saying? We need to get on this. So, of course, you know, I mean, I don't know, you guys. I mean, when his family said that he dropped off his friends to back to their homes after the casino, did he drop off Nalante? I mean, I don't know, but my God, what a soulless person you are. Like, Nalante text, I mean, we don't know what the relation for Osha and Nalante is. I really could give two craps. But she did text Osha. So if he dropped people off, he dropped Nalante off home. Like, that's insane to me. When someone drops you off home safely, that is such a kind thing to do. You know, another reason why Puff was very kind. And I know it seems a little minuscule, but to get someone home safe, that's just a beautiful gift every time. So he must have dropped off Nalante. And she knew that he was going to get robbed. And yet she didn't warn him. She didn't give him any clue what was going to happen to him. On that terrible night, Puff was ambushed. And guess what? His gun was stolen. And that poor kid, Robert Lee Jr., okay? Robert Lee Jr. was actually killed by Puff's gun. That is so awful because Puff was so anti-gun that his gun killed someone, but he didn't shoot it. That is awful. Like, I don't know if that's called irony, but it's like, what? So like I said, the police did their police work, okay? And they started, this is pretty incredible. So if you guys want to talk crap or start a crime, and if you have your cell phone on you, there's cell towers. Cell towers can pick up who is texting, who is calling right by the crime scene. And they picked up Nalante and they picked up Osha. That had to be tedious amount of time because there is God knows how many people have cell phones that live in that area of Savannah, Georgia, that live in the inner cities. There's a lot of people. But the police did it. They finally caught the killers. So he was ambushed and he was gunned down by Osha. Like, it was like quick. He just went bang, 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 like 8 times. And he didn't want Puff to get up. Which, again, you didn't have to kill him. Like, you don't understand. Like, when you killed him, oh my God, it shook a community. Like, it shook a generation. Puff was only like 36 years old. Like, he was young. And his death was not because of the activism. His death was not because of his outspokenness. His death was because of pure greed. And he trusted the wrong people. Now, Shawntay's best friend, sister, has guilt. Carries guilt because she knew Nalante. And she is just like, oh my gosh, if she didn't go with him on the boat, you know, Shawntray would be alive. And I want to tell you right now, please don't do that to yourself. You cannot, like, blame yourself, okay? People do what they're gonna do. It is not your fault. And I know that Shawntray does not blame you. So I really hope the guilt unburdens your heart. Because I know Shawntray wouldn't blame you. He just didn't seem that kind of a person. But yeah, and January 15, 2020, the verdict was received, and it was only 3 hours in the jury. Yeah, they got their verdict in 3 hours. They were both guilty of all counts. OSHA has 2 life sentences because he did use Puff's gun to kill Robert, and he also, killed Puff. Nalante is eligible for parole in 2050. Now, even though she didn't shoot, okay, my thing is, she could have stopped it. She could have been like, oh, I'm just playing. No, he didn't. I'm getting the guy mixed up. Or had a heart and try to stop it. Or at least warn Puff. Okay? But like friends and family said, they didn't really know him. They just saw that he was just an opportunity and sadly took his life. Shawntray is the main brother that talks in the documentary. And he says he does not want his brother to be a statistic, and he is definitely not a statistic. It is very sad how an anti-gun activist who was absolutely loved by the people and was famous, pretty much. He was famous, let's just say that. He really was. And his heart was so, so big for this world. I mean, I don't know, I don't want to say that. I really want more kind people in the world. I mean, what I say is treat people how you want to be treated. And I want people to remember Shawntray Grant. Puff, I hope you find peace. I'm wishing positive, loving energy. And I did not do this story to re-traumatize people. I mainly did this story for awareness and advocacy. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. You guys are so awesome. Please know that you are loved and you are cherished. And also, until next time, you are doing better than you think. Bye.